First, you need to go to the website a+students.com. Once you're on the website, you select math as your subject. This is a grade 8 maths lesson, and the topic for today is statistics. I'll give you the chapter number and the lesson number. The chapter number is 25 and the lesson number is 8. Chapter number 25, lesson number 8, and the name of the lesson is Outliers in a Scatter Plot. Okay. A scatter plot is a diagram where dots have been plotted, and we need to identify a dot that is out of the bound. Just a moment, please. Grade 8s. I'm going to the website. Grade 8s. Chapter number 25 and lesson number 8. Okay, let's see if the question says the two scatter plots are given to us and we need to highlight which scatter plot is. Just a moment, let me realign this because this would use a lot of space. Sorry. The question says the two scatter plots below show the same data set. Choose the scatter plot which is highlighted. Okay, I'm just aligning this so that I would reuse this statement again and again. Okay, so the question number 1 is saying scatter plots are provided to us and we need to see which scatter plot will point to the correct information, right, to an outlier. Let's suppose the first scatter plot given to us is this. This is the first scatter plot, and let's have a look at another scatter plot, second scatter plot. Okay, so in this case, a scatter plot is a diagram where we are given several points. Several of the points are given to us. A line of best fit is to be drawn. A line of best fit means the line has to be drawn such that the line would pass through maximum points or between maximum points, right? So can we say this is the line of best fit? If we draw the line of best fit for the second question, can we say this was the line of best fit? Where this marked point, these are the two options given to us. Which should be the outlier? An outlier is a point that is far away from the line. So in option number, if this is option number A and this was option number B, right? The outlier, this point is not an outlier. Agreed, because it lies where on the line or there. But in option number A, this point is the outlier because it is not following the trend of the line. it is far away from the line. Agreed? Okay. One more thing we need to remember is if on the axis, I'll draw an axis just to give you an information. If on a given axis, if this was the y-axis, this is given as the x-axis. If we have certain trends given to us, right? We know that whenever the line is rising upwards, we will have a positive trend. Whenever the line is going downwards, that means we have a negative trend. The positive trend and the negative trend can be found by the slope or the gradient. And whenever the line is horizontal, we can say there is no trend. Agreed? So these are the some types that we would be considering. So question one was a positive trend because it is an increasing gradient. Moving ahead to the next question. The next question says, if the diagram is given to us, I'll just copy the diagram. In question number 2, they're saying if this is the given to us, if these were given to us, we need to find which scatter plot gives us a question number 2, and I will change this to another point, that is this. Okay, so we can see the trend over here. The trend for these two lines, these two diagrams are, this is option A and option B. We can say that they have a negative trend. Agreed? They both have a negative trend. This point in option number A is far away from the line, right? So we can say this is an outlier, whereas this point was way near to the line, to the pattern that is being followed. So this is not an outlier. Okay, so option A has the outlier with a negative trend. That means if x is increasing, y is decreasing. How do we say that? If x was 10, y was this. If x was increased to 40, y became less. X is increasing, y is decreasing, right? So we can also find the trend for any given questions, okay? So let's have a look. Let's say for the given question, question number 3, they are saying, look at the scatter diagram and find the point that may be considered as an outlier. See, if I would say we have a point here, okay? So these were the points that were given to us. Agreed? So which point could be the outlier? This was a decreasing trend. Agreed? And we can say this point and this point are the outliers because this is the negative axis for x. Agreed? An outlier would be the point that is further away from the straight line, the trend line. And we say that this is a negative trend line, right? Let's have a look at another example. Since it says, I'm just changing the points a bit or highlighting the points so that you would be able to look at it properly. Okay. For the next question, it says, look at the scatter plot and tell us which point is the outlier. So when we try to draw the trend line, can we say this is the trend line? Okay. So which point seems to be furthest away? Can we say this point is an outlier? Or let's suppose if a point was given somewhere over here, that is way far away from the line, right? So any point that does not follow the pattern of the line would be an outlier, right? Agreed? So right now what we are doing is we are just identifying what are the possible points which are outliers. We are not simplifying, we are not doing anything, we're just identifying. Okay. For the next question, it says, for the scatter plot, identify the outlier. So let this be question number 5. Okay. So can we say if we draw a line like this, do we see any other point that is way far away from the line? We can say that this point is not on the line, but it is way close to the line, right? We draw a line of best fit. This is the line of, this is called line of best fit. A line of best fit means it passes through maximum points or it is in between maximum points. So the outlier would be a point that is further away from this line. See, this point was on the line, very near the line. These points given to us are very close to the line. But there is a point that has been given to us that is far away from the line, right? That is this point. So can we say this point is the outlier? See, an example of an outlier would be in, this is the grade 8 lesson, right? In grade 8, normally the age group is 13 and 14 years old, right? But if there is a student in grade 8 who is 8 years old, that is not regular, right? A 8-year student studying in grade 8s, or maybe a 20-year student studying in grade 8s, that particular age group would be an outlier because that is not the normal range of grade 8 students. Okay, so anything that happens that is not normal or a regular value for a given question would always be an outlier. Okay, let's look at another example. For the next question, it says, for the scatter plot, find the outlier. Question number 6. In question number 6, if these points were given to us and they want to find us, they want us to find an outlier, can we draw a line of best fit? remember one more thing. Whenever are trying to draw a line of best fit, and then let's suppose we need to find the gradient, right? Or the slope. This is always an open-ended question, because some student can draw the line like this, another student can draw a line like this, right? So there could be multiple possibilities. Two students will not have an accurate line. So the gradient might differ by a very small value, okay? Because it's an open-ended question. Open-ended question means different answers are acceptable, because the line of best fit can be drawn with a little difference, right? So in this case, the outlier should be, this should be the outlier, because this point is not following the trend. The trend means it's not near the line. Agreed? Okay. For the next question, let's say we let's draw a line that, just a moment. Okay. Uh, for the next question, it says, just a moment, please. I will change the diagram. Question number 7. Question number 7, it says, we don't have any points given over here, right? But we'll try to plot some points. If I say the points given are, these are the points given to us, and okay, so if these were the points given to us, what we try to do is we try to draw a line of best fit. Agreed? We can say this was the line of best fit. A line of best fit will pass through the maximum number of points or pass near the number of maximum, between the maximum number of points, right? So they are saying select all the points that may be considered as outliers. So this point was further away, this point, and this point, right? So these points are considered as outliers because they are not following the normal trend of the line. Okay, for the next question, let's say 5, 6. Okay. For the next question, it says, just a minute, please. Let me copy question number 8. They are telling us, identify all the points which may be considered as outliers. Question number 8. So can we say that the points are concentrated over here, right? So can we say we draw a line in this manner such that maximum points are near the line, whereas these points which are not near the line can be considered as outliers? Agreed? I'm not considering this point as an outlier because this is nearer. Any point which is nearer to the line satisfies the line of best fit. But the points which are further away will be outliers. Okay? We're just, in this topic, we are just identifying the outliers. Okay? We are not processing the data. Okay. Let's see For the next question, let's say, just a moment, please. They're telling us question number 9. They have given some points and they want us to identify the outliers. How can we identify the outliers? We draw a line of best fit. Okay, this can be the line or this can be the line. So which point is an outlier? These points are near the line, right? Because the line is passing through or between maximum number of these points. But this point given over here was far away. So we can say this point is the outlier because it does not follow the trend of a regular line. Agreed? Do we agree on that? Okay, thank you. Let's have a look at another example. If we have a scatter plot and we say that we need to look at an outlier such that this is the information that has been given to us. Question number 10. We say we draw a line of best fit. This can be the line of best fit because it is passing through and between the maximum number of points. Agreed? I'm using two terms over here, passing through or in between. So can we say that this point over here does not follow the trend? We say this is an outlier. Or if I even mark another point over here, it would still be outlier because this above the line or below the line, they all are outliers because they are very far away from the line of best fit that we drew. Okay, we are given several points. We draw a line of best fit. This was the line of best fit. When we draw the line of best fit, the points that are very near the line of best fit would be acceptable points, but the points which are far away from the line of best fit would always be outliers. Okay, let's have a look at another example. For the next question, it says the questions are very simple. We are just trying to identify. Okay, question number 11 has this information. Which points would be outliers? If we say we want to draw a line of best fit, can we say this is the line of best fit? Right? These were the points given to us. Agreed? So the points which are not close to the line are these 2 points. This is outlier. You don't have to write outlier every single time. I'm just writing it down. You just need to select or maybe make a circle around them. The next question, it says, look at the scatter plot below and find the points which are outliers. doing a lot of questions because the questions are very simple. Okay. Question number 12. We can say we have a line of best fit. Agreed. And since we already have the line of best fit, that means the points which are not near the line, adding a few more points to it, then the outliers would be any point that is not near. This is outlier, this is outlier, and this would be outlier. Any point which is far away from the line of best fit, because the line of best would pass through the maximum number of points or in between maximum number of points, through and in between, right? So these 3 points are the outliers for this given question. Okay, let's look at another example. Okay, the next question, it says, let's look at the scatter plot and identify an outlier. If this was a scatter plot that was given to us, this is our question number 13. We need to identify a outlier. Can we say this was the line given to us? So the outlier should be any point that is far away. This can be an outlier. Even this can be an outlier. Or this point can be an outlier, right? Because all these points are far away from the line of best fit. Okay, they do not lie on the line, or the outlier can be at the bottom as well, above the line or below the line, right? But if it's far away from the line, that means it's an outlier. So we need to find the outliers. We need to identify which points are outliers. Okay. Let's have a look at another example. Okay. For a cluster distribution. Cluster distribution means a lot of points are plotted very close to each other. We were drawing the line of best fit, right? But in cluster distribution, this is this. Okay. If this was question number 11, this is cluster distribution. And they're asking us to identify an outlier or identify outliers. Let's take it as a plural. Okay. So cluster means that maximum values are at a single point, right? So what we can say is, if we wanted to draw a line over here, the line would be something like this. The line of best fit will pass through maximum number of points, pass through the concentrated position, right? And what should be the outliers? All these points, maybe not this, but this, sorry, but this, this, and this. All these points are outliers. About this point, we can say it can be an outlier, which I marked in red, right? It can be an outlier, or we can ignore it, because the outliers in this case are very far away also, right? So we prioritize selecting outliers which are far from the line of best fit. Okay. Cluster means most of the points were concentrated in the center. Okay. Let's have a look at another example. Just a moment, please. Okay. Let's suppose if it says look at the scatter plot below, select the point that might be considered as an outlier. For the next question, it says if these points were given to us, we need to select a point that might be an outlier at this point, and this point, right? So what we can say is if we want to draw a line of best fit, the line of best fit will pass through maximum number of points or in between the maximum number of points, right? We can say these were the maximum number of points across the line. And which point are furthest away? This point, this point, and this point. So these points are the outliers. Agreed? So outlier is the information in the data set that is like a very random value. If the student age of your classroom is has a particular value, maybe 13 to 14 years old, right? I gave you an example. If there is a 18-year student studying in grade 8s, then that age group would be an outlier, right? If you go to buy ice cream, let's suppose the ice creams of different brands would have a usual price, but there could be an ice cream that could be very cheap or very expensive. That means it does not follow the pattern, and that value would be an outlier. Okay, so let's try to identify more outliers. Okay, one more thing. I just told you correlation. Okay, let's see what kind of correlations can we have. I told you a positive correlation, negative correlation. We did this over here, right? I told you it's a positive trend, negative trend, or no trend, right? So let's see now what kind of trends are there. Which trend can we follow? Let me just copy some questions and let's see. Okay, with the outliers. I'll make some outliers and then we will look at the trends as well. Okay, let's say this is question number 13, question 14, question 15, and question number 16. Okay, so in this case, I'll highlight the points. If these were the points given to us, okay, so we can say that when we try to join these points together, it the line of best fit will pass through maximum points, right? Or pass through or between. And we can say that the point that was furthest away from the line is the outlier as well. This point is the outlier. If it has a positive slope, right? If the slope or the gradient is positive, it shows a positive trend. What is the formula for the slope? Formula for the slope is y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. That is basically the change in y compared to change in x. So we can say that since the line is increasing, right, it would have a positive correlation or a positive trend. Okay, let's look at question number 14. In question number 14, what we can say is the points are scattered throughout the scatter diagram. Can we draw a line which will pass through maximum number of points? Let's try doing that. if I say this is a line drawn which is passing through maximum number of points, right? So it is not passing through maximum number of points, it's just passing through 3 points, right? If I make a line like this, it's still passing through 3 or 4 points. If I make a line like this, it's still passing through 2 or 3 points, right? So in this case, what we can say is all the points that have been given to us are scattered randomly throughout the grid, right? So we do not see any pattern in this case. So we say that there is no correlation. There's no link between the x-axis and the y-axis, right? For question number 15, if the given points were, these were the given points, and we need to find which kind of a trend is it following. So can we say that when we join the points together, or we make a line passing through the maximum number of points, right? It is going downwards, right? Anything that goes downward was negative slope, that is a negative trend. And we can say this point is the outlier. Agreed? For question number 16, we can say the points given are, these were the points given to us. Let's try to draw a line passing through these points. So can we say this is a line that was passing through the maximum number of points, or in between maximum number of points, right? So what can be the outlier over here? This point can be the outlier. And what is the correlation or the trend? Is it increasing or is it decreasing? We know that whenever the line x is increasing, we can see that when x is increasing, y is increasing, right? X increased, y increased. That means whenever it's an increasing trend, that means it is a positive correlation or a positive trend. Agreed? Let's have a look at a few more examples. The next question, it says, just a moment, please. These diagrams were given to us. We need to find what kind of a correlation is there. 16, question 17, 18, 19, and 20. So for the given question number 17, these are the points given to us. We cannot draw a line that is passing through the maximum number of points, but we can still draw a line that is passing in between maximum number of points, right? So the trend given over here is a negative because the line is decreasing, and this would be the outlier. For question number 18, it says if the points given were these, can we draw a line that is passing through the maximum number of points? In between maximum number of points, right? So we can say in this case, this can be the outlier that is furthest away from the line. Some students may have drawn it like this, right? But this is passing through the maximum number of points, but this is not passing through the maximum number of points, right? So we need to consider both the scenarios, passing through maximum number of points and passing in between What is the trend over here? It is a increasing. That means it's a positive trend. Question number 19. When we look at the points, we can use the word scattered, right? The points are scattered. That means there is no correlation, because when x was 1, y was 1 also, y was 5 also, y was 9 also. So we cannot relate. When x was 9, y was 2, and y was 8, which value would we pick? We cannot select a specific value. That means there is no correlation. For the next question, the last question, that means question number 20, we have these points given to us. Can we say that when we draw a line passing through maximum number of points, or in between maximum points, this is the point that was far away, right? And since it's decreasing, we can say it is a negative trend. Agreed? Let's do some questions from the test. Okay, let's try some questions from the test. Just a moment, please. Meanwhile, let me just copy this. This is maths, grade 8. I need the chapter number and the lesson number, 25, chapter number 25, and lesson number 8, and the test. So the first question for the test says, the two scatter plots. I will just change the heading. Okay, let's cut this. Let me get this information from here. It's saying the same, sorry. It's saying this information. The two scatter plots highlight the same data set, and we need to see which information. Okay, let's try to find which option would be option A, option B. This is our question number 1 from the test. Okay, the highlighted one was this and this, right? So which of these two shapes have the correct, which outlier is highlighted? Which have the correct, which, there are two diagrams given to us. They have an outlier, right, marked for us. So which point will be the correct outlier? Option A, which I've circled, or option B, which I've circled? An outlier was the point that is far away from the given line of trend, right? So which point is far from the line of trend? Perfect. Because this point was near the line. This was the line of trend. This was a trend line, right? So option A was near or on the line of trend. Option B is the correct answer because this is an outlier. That is not an outlier. Let's have a look at another example. Another question, question number 2, with the same statement. So which one would be for question number 2? Option A or option B? In this case, this is given as an outlier or this is given as an outlier. When we draw the trend lines, the trend line is like this and the trend line is like this, right? Inspiration. So which point should be this point, because this point is very near the line of best fit. So option B, right? Thank you. Okay. Please do complete the remaining questions. You just need to highlight or you just need to select which option is the correct answer, right? Okay. Thank you so much. Best of luck. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye.